We're just getting older, world is getting colder. Trying to get sober, Lord help me get stronger. World is on my shoulder.
How you doing today? This is the 12 and 12 podcast, a podcast about real life recovery, redemption, growth and development, because that's what this is about. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, tap that subscribe button and share for more. Also, if you need help with substance abuse disorder, severe mental illness, if you know anybody, please don't hesitate to share this. Contact the numbers above. We are sponsored by First Step Recovery. Call that number and we will be happy to help you out. We have a special guest today, Corey. How you doing, Corey? How you doing? Pleasure for you to be here, man. I'm glad you was able to make it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Corey. I'm an alcoholic. Grew up here in Louisville, Kentucky. You know, I've always pretty much struggled with some type of substance, you know, my whole life. Whether it be getting attention from other people when I was a kid, or when I got a little bit older, you know, weed, alcohol, then it upgraded to different substances too. So, yeah, I've always dealt with that. I've been trying to get sober since 2012.
2012?
2012. I've had sobriety on and off, but, you know, it's only stuck maybe once or twice for longer than a year. So,
so the longest you've been sober was for a year?
Yeah, a little over a year.
What was the drug of choice?
Really everything.
Everything?
Really everything.
Well, whatever
I liked
you get
it
your
all. I
hands
didn't
on.
discriminate. No,
Yeah.
primarily opiates.
Opiates?
Cocaine, alcohol.
So when did you first start using?
Well, I think the first time I smoked weed when I was like 13.
And
With some friends, yeah.
Your friends? How did it affect you after that?
I didn't like it.
No?
I didn't like it
what?
at first. Yeah, I didn't like the way I felt. So I didn't do it for a little while after that.
Oh, wow.
And I think that I might have just been with the wrong people. And then I did it again maybe a year or two later, and I really enjoyed it. You know, had a blast.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
the giggles, all that. You know that. And I think from that moment on, I was like, man, this is great. You know, how do we get this all the time? We couldn't really get our hands on it though at that age. You know, somebody had taken a joint or something from their mom or something like that. You know, we had went back and smoked it, and then come back to the house. But yeah, we couldn't really get our hands on it though. So I think from the first time that I had ever used though, like, and I enjoyed it, from that day on, I did nothing but obsess over it. You know, how are we gonna get this? How are we gonna get some more of that? Hey, you know, where's your mom at?
So I got a question about that, right? Do you feel like you was addicted to the weed?
No? I don't think so. But I think that I was more infatuated on what it did for me. You know, there wasn't a physical addiction at the time, I don't think. But you know, that feeling that it gave me, that companionship that it gave me with my friends, that bonding experience that I had at that age, I think I was more or less infatuated with that, and I wanted to know why. I wanted that more, pretty much. So if we are talking about addiction, I guess you could say it was, you know, as I knew it was the mental obsession taking off.
From that point forward, what drug did it progress to after the marijuana?
It was marijuana for years until we got our hands on alcohol. And that was when we was a little bit older. I think
like
we was out of middle school. It was like freshman year,
Okay.
I think. Maybe the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade. We got our hands on alcohol. And that was a terrible experience the first time too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you ever remember your first hangover. You know,
It was horrible.
It was not
It
good.
was horrible. It seemed like everybody in my high school was drinking too. It was just weird. Everybody
Yeah.
was
My
getting
first
high and drinking, man. It was crazy. I'm like, everybody could get alcohol, man.
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't nothing major.
Yep, my first hangover I think was so bad I called my mom and told on myself.
Man,
was that
you was
bad.
out of there.
Yeah, it was that bad. You know, I didn't know how to fix it. You know, I was like, I felt terrible. I thought I'd been poisoned.
You definitely probably were alcohol
Probably
poisoning for
was.
sure, man.
Probably was. It was vodka. I think we, drink like a liter of vodka between, 2 or 3 of us. First time drinking. We were all in bad shape. especially the next morning, we were in worse shape.
So what was it? Your friends like telling you like, hey man, let's go out. Yo, I got some bottles, man. Come over and drink.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I think there were some girls and their parents wasn't home, and we went over there and we was like, oh, this is it, this is it right here. This is the moment of truth, We got girls, we got alcohol, like yes, this is it. And it was not it.
Nah,
it didn't happen that way.
Didn't happen that way.
I think everybody passed out. Before any of us had fun, we had all passed out.
Too much.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. Especially at a young age. And then from the alcohol, what did it progress to after that?
After alcohol, in my high school years, I think we started to get a hold of like hallucinogenics, like mushrooms and acid a little bit. I wasn't a huge fan of acid. I did it once, and it was just like wasn't a good experience. I felt like I didn't feel anything, like, and everybody else was just. I felt like everybody was faking, so I was like, yeah, this ain't it. But we had a guy that we would get mushrooms from. And that's like, when it took a little step above weed and alcohol. And then...
How was the first time when you used mushrooms?
Oh, the
first
feeling.
time, yeah. How did you feel the first time?
The feeling was like really euphoric. It was kind of like a release from reality, pretty much. Like I didn't do a whole lot, but I did enough to get my money's worth out of it. And like I said, all this in the beginning was fun. Every experience that I had with it was fun. If it wasn't fun, I didn't want to do it anymore. If it was fun, then I enjoyed it and I wanted to continue doing it as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, we had a blast. It was great. Never had a bad experience on them. We laughed. We went to Kroger.
No, yeah.
Probably didn't belong there, but we had fun.
Yeah.
In the beginning, anyways.
Yeah, how it started off.
Yeah.
I remember I tried mushrooms before, and it was just like I wasn't with it. I really wasn't with it. You know what I'm saying? I was drinking stuff like that, but then boy was like, "Yo, man, want to try some shrooms?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, man, go ahead, man." And I was already smoking weed, so I was high. And then I'm like, "Yeah, man, go ahead." So he threw it on the burger. And then we ate it, you know what I'm saying? Ate a burger, man, and after that, I was like in the hole, and I just went to laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Uncontrollably
The
laughing.
perma-smile where your cheeks
Yeah,
feel like
my
they're gonna...
cheeks was just like, I'm like, yo, he's like, what did you laugh for? I said, bro, I don't even know why I'm laughing. And just looking at we on the beach, you know what I'm saying? Down there, we at St. Pete's. We was on Clearwater Beach. So we just at the beach, we sitting there chilling, you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking at the water, it looks like a ship on there. I'm seeing stuff, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. I'm like, this is wild. It wasn't like a bad trip, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
But it was just like, I was just literally just chilling, like laughing, and then I passed out, woke up laughing, but started off that way. I tried it one time, but I was like, nah, I'm good on that, man. I got bud, I got a little drink if I want to.
Yeah.
And I just stick with that.
That's pretty much what we did too. We stuck to it. Well, it was not very prevalent here. I think my experiences was like you could only get them a certain time of the year. Really, it's whenever they would become available to us, anyways. And there was a stretch where I did them for did them for days at a time. And what I didn't know was that when you do mushrooms, your brain just like floods your body with all these, dopamine and all these serotonin and all these chemicals or whatever that's what, makes you so happy and laughing. And the more you do it, you just completely deplete your brain of all that. So then if you do them for like a week, like heavily, I know some people microdose, but if you do them heavily for like a couple weeks on end, then just after that, it's just like there's nothing. It's like almost like you're drained of emotions after that.
Wow.
It's like it doesn't last very long, but it's just like a hangover.
Like a hallucinogen hangover.
Just like for me, it was like a mental hangover. Like I just didn't have any drive to do anything. I didn't want to do anything. Like nothing was fun. Nothing was funny.
What was your next step after that?
My next step after that was prescription medications. Like,
how did you get hooked on those?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I got hooked on them from the first use, but I had family members that were on prescription medications, and almost everybody's family's on prescription medication.
yeah, somebody got
so it's
somebody.
really easily accessible, and we didn't know it exists. And then from the time that we had like been at a friend's house and they had taken some pain pills from their family members. Well, at that point we were like, we don't really want anything to do with these. We'll trade them for weed, But we knew what we had around the household. Mm-hmm. So one day or another, I think we worked up the courage to take some, and we were like, man, these are great. These are great. Until we started getting in trouble because they were like, well, my pills are missing. What's going on with these? But yeah, I had family members that were on pain pills and Xanax. So we had benzos and the opiates together. So, I always knew I liked them, but I also knew that they could be dangerous, So there was always that level of fear there that kind of kept me from stepping over that line to where I get completely dependent on them. And I didn't have the means to have that many. I might be able to take 3 or 4 without them being noticed, or this person might be able to take 10 or something, but there was a group of us split these amongst each other, so we really didn't get too much out of it, but I think right outside of high school I was like 18, 19. There was some very, very strong pain medicine going around in the street, and ended up trying that, and I think that's what inevitably set off that, that's when I met my drug of choice, was those high-powered opioid pain medicine. And that's where I was like, met my match. Because then I was like, any dollar I get, like, is going to get saved up to get this, or every dollar that I have is going to go to this. Pretty much.
So before then, you felt like you was managing like your addictions.
Yeah, I didn't even know I had an addiction.
You got to the point that you got to the higher dose of opiates.
Yep.
It felt like that started your downfall.
Well, I got to experience withdrawal for the first time. So
how was that?
I was like, man, I'm just really sick, and I don't know what. I just feel bad. I blew it off as like, I'm sick. I had no idea.
So you thought like you caught the flu or something?
Yeah. I thought that it was just like, I felt bad. And then, a day goes by, 2 days go by, and I still feel bad. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to venture out of the house. I feel like absolute shit, like let me go try to like figure something out. Like maybe I need to smoke, or maybe, something make me feel better. And then, I present that to one of my friends, like, dude, I feel like absolute garbage. And he's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like sniffling, and, my eyes are watering. I just don't feel good, and sweating. And he's like, oh, I know what'll fix you up. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, here, you can have some of this. I'm like, bro, I feel like crap already. Like, that's probably going to make me feel worse. He's like, no, that's why you feel like this, because you're dope sick. Or you're pill sick is what he called it. Pill sick. Yeah, so I was going through withdrawals.
And when you took it, then you was better.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. 100% better.
So then you knew from that point that you had to continue to go on. Did you ever think at that point in time like, yo, I'm in a bad situation?
Yep. So there was that thought of like, maybe I should just stop it right now, just deal with whatever comes with it, and then just leave it alone. But I could always make it past the sickness or whatever, and then once I would get past that withdrawing state, it was just everybody around me was doing it. I couldn't escape it, and I also didn't know what was wrong with me either. So I didn't know that at that point I was already an addict. I didn't know that it was a disease. I didn't know how it worked, how it played on your mind and your body. I had no idea. So, I would say, I just ain't messing with it, and eventually it would be, somebody would give it to me for free, I'm like, I don't want to spend any money on this, so like, but it was always there, it was always around, and I had friends that sold it too, so it was like almost impossible to escape from, for me anyways, since I had already dabbled in it, I already, had an interest in it, it was just almost impossible to get away from. And I had no idea. I didn't know that rehab or treatment or anything like that exists that young anyways. And if I did, I probably wouldn't have told my parents, just because like I wouldn't have wanted them to know what I was doing at 18, 19.
So when did the change occur in your life when you was like, you know what, I'm done with this?
It didn't for a long time. I pretty much held my pill addiction all the way up until heroin addiction. So I rode that out until they were gone. Never really facing any consequences other than just withdrawal. I had a job, I think, at that point. Like, I'd got a job at, like, McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever. Just whatever I could do to, like, get away from the house and stay away from the house. Because I knew if I was going to go home, then, like, somebody was going to notice, pretty much. So from the time that I was, like, 18 to, like, 20, I really didn't stay home very much. I stayed with friends, or I, was at work or whatever. I might come home 1 or 2 nights a week, but, I really didn't want to stay around the house. And then one day, out of the blue, all those pills just disappeared. I guess the FDA banned them, or the FBI banned them, or something like that. Whoever banned them, they got rid of them. They were gone. So within the week, heroin was already on the streets. People were already doing it, and I was like, there ain't no way.
And that was deep here, and that was in Louisville.
Yep. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that I'm doing this. There ain't no way that I'm going that far. Like, I'm only 20. Like, there ain't no way. Like, I've seen friends one day doing it this way, and then a week later they're sticking a needle in their arm, and I'm like, that ain't gonna be me. No way. And I gave it about a month. Before you knew it, I was like, let me just try it. Let me see what the buzz is about. Let me see why is everybody doing this? Which is an insane thought. But like, once again, I didn't realize how much of an addict I really was. I done got over the sickness of, the withdrawals of the pills. Had no withdrawal symptoms at all. But just pure curiosity wanted me to try this. Because I was just seeing the effect that it had on people. So, and it was all my peers.
You had so your other friends and stuff, they was hooked on the heroin also?
Not all of them.
A lot of them?
I think I was out of my, like, real friend group, right? So my genuine friends that, I think maybe one of us had tried it, and then I tried it, dove straight into it. From the moment I had somebody shoot me up, I never stopped. Never stopped.
I remember I had a friend who, he had it one time, I seen him snort something. I'm like, bro, what you snorting? Like, man, you want this here, man. I said, man, what the heck is that, though? And they were like, oh, man, it's heroin. I said, you snorting heroin? And they were like, yeah. I said, I just looked at him like, dang, man. I felt, you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking at him like, bro, you're going down a bad road, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I know you didn't used to do it, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing him do it, then it's like, and I didn't see him for a while, and I'm like, when I seen him doing it, I'm like, dang, bro, what the heck? And next thing you know, I'm hearing he's locked up, I'm hearing he's going here, I'm hearing he moved to another state. I mean, he's locked up, came back. He moved up north and then moved back down to Florida again, and then that's he locked up right now, facing like 15 years, 20 years or something like that, trafficking, fentanyl, all types of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, dang, man, it just takes you down that bad path, man. And then I'm like, you already got a job, bro, you're doing good. But then you want to do this, so you're selling it to keep a habit going, you know what I'm saying? You're working, but then you're selling just so you could buy more dope to be able to, and it just ends up bad, man.
Yeah, I think the consequences really got real then.
Yeah.
Because at that point, that was like that was the best thing I'd ever encountered in life, and what it did for me too. That's,
How'd it make you feel?
It just released from everything, all insecurities, all worry, all anything that I ever, struggled with, it was gone. Which it was with other substances too, but not to that level. With that, I think there was I just didn't care, Like, so whenever I would feel that relief, nothing else mattered. You know, nothing else in the world mattered than just me and that moment. And, you know, it was almost spiritual, really. It's, you know, and some people don't compare it to that, but I think heroin was almost like a spiritual experience, which is weird to think of, but just the same feeling, right? So it carries the same depth, right, as someone coming to like this like spiritual awakening almost, but it was in the wrong way.
So
You know, it was like an unspiritual awakening.
But like a demonic.
Yeah, almost like a possession.
Like it took over. It took over.
Yeah, and the consequences just, you know, were real, but they didn't matter, you know. So anything that I would have had to do to get some more or to not feel like I was dying from withdrawal, I was willing to face those consequences. You know, whether it be go to jail, whether it be go to prison, whether it be to set somebody up or, you know, take off on somebody and take the risk of getting shot, killed, put my family in jeopardy from me, you know, taking stuff from other people.
That's definitely demonic. Like you called out the right thing, like a possession, man, because, man, you become a completely different person. I believe a lot of these drugs, man, it's evil, you know, borderline forms of witchcraft, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can literally, it changes you, who you are. And like you said, that spiritual feeling, altering your mind to another, you know, you opening your doors to I believe, highly believe, spiritual, you know what I'm saying, evil spirits, you know, it opened the door for that, and the next thing you know, you're doing things that you would never do.
Yeah, I'm driven by it, you know, I have no control.
Yeah.
And I never, you know, realized what kind of real control it had on me, because at that time I was just in such a fog, and all I wanted to do was, you know, I'm just surviving the only way I know how to survive at that point. You know, running around here. I know in my early years of doing it, I used to run right around here, you know, catch a bus down here and do what I need to do. And there would be times where I would get stuck down here, you know, like not in the sense of I can't catch the bus back home. I would get down here and get started, and I was stuck down here because I didn't want to go too far from all my resources of what I needed to stay that way.
Wow.
So I become stuck.
So you was like, basically, you was in the point of being inside of a prison, your own prison.
Yeah, I'd come meet somebody down in the West End, and I would get stuck. And I wouldn't leave until I had absolutely nothing, no, you know, all resources were gone. Either that or somebody was looking for me because I didn't pay them back, or, you know, something crazy, you know. You know, I continued to put myself in these kind of situations for years and years and years.
So when was the point that you decided that, you know what, I'm tired of being in this situation. I want to really get out of this and get some help? How did that happen?
So we're talking, you know, from the pills, started in around 2012. I ended up at the healing place. I've ended up at JDAC, you know, for a day or so. My family would talk me into going there, and I'd wake up the next day and be like, nope, straight back down here, or somewhere close by where I had some acquaintances where I could make something happen for myself and get high again. But I don't think that I was absolutely willing. The first time I got sober, the first time I stayed a whole time through a treatment center was, I think it was 2015. So 2015 or 16, I can't remember. But I went to Recovery Works in Elizabethtown, stayed there the whole time. I met a guy there who was opening a sober living house, and I ended up going to said sober living house and stayed there the whole time. You know, stayed there the whole 6 months, was able to, you know, find a sponsor, was able to work the steps, was able to, you know, have a job and save some money. And, you know, these people helped me. I didn't even know how to grocery shop when I went there, you know. I think I was 23. Had no idea how to live my life, really. Like, I knew how to cook myself food, but that was about it. But as far as like taking my paycheck and spending it wisely, I had no idea how to do that. Even though I got family members, you know, my family is not like me, but you know, I couldn't grocery shop. You know, I didn't know how to budget anything. So for the first couple months, you know, it was really very reliant on my family to pretty much take care of me still while I'm in this recovery home. You know, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have survived through it. I would have ended up, you know, tapped out and been back wherever I was going to go. That and, you know, having a sponsor and having a fellowship and having friends that were doing the same things that I was definitely a huge benefit. And that was that period of sobriety where I stayed sober a little over a year.
So when you say a lot of your friends was doing the same thing, basically getting sober, were those the friends that you started using with, or were they just different people you met?
Yeah, just people I had met in recovery.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
People I had met in recovery, or people that I met in that treatment center, and then we kind of influenced each other to go to a sober living house. We were like, man, you know, that guy talked to you about the sober living thing? It's like, yeah, he talked to me about the sober living thing. It was like, well, are you going to do it? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do it. And I was like, you know, I'm like, I don't know neither. You know, I don't know where I'm going to go. I ain't got nothing, but, you know, I don't. And then some, you know, there was one person that I had, you know, ate lunch with, and, you know, we're around each other all day for a whole month. So it's hard not to form relationships with people in these places. And I had somebody that I, you know, really looked up to, really respected, you know, as a person, as another man. And he was like, man, you know, what else are we doing? You know, what do we got to lose? Yeah. We ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of right now. And he's like, I'm telling you, like, I've done this before, and it will work, but it's not going to be easy. Like, it'll work. I'm going. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'll go if you go. You know, so we made that.
It's kind of like an agreement.
We would shake on it. Yeah, you go, I'll go. You know, so we did.
Turning point.
Yeah, we went, and you know, I think within the rest of the time that we were there, it was crazy though because we influenced almost a whole roster of like the treatment center to stay in Elizabethtown and get sober. So there was a bunch of us that came from there, like at one time, like so all within 1 month. There's like 50 of us.
What?
And we all stay there. Like we're not going back to Louisville. We're all from Louisville. Like we'll just stay here. You know, we're all really good. You know, we've all made good relationships so far. Like you know, let's give it, you know, 6 months at least. Yeah. See what happens. And people just started progressing rapidly. You know, people started doing really good and. You know, getting vehicles and getting good jobs and everything like that. So it kind of kept us around each other. Nice. And that was one of the first impressions that like long-term sobriety had on me. So from that moment on, even when I fell back off, I was like, I can get back there. You know, like, and if it was anywhere to get back to, like, that's how I would want my recovery to look like again. Yeah. You know, with friends and fellowship and like everybody just like a big family, and that's what I wanted pretty much. I didn't stay sober that time, but any time that, you know, the consequences got too real again, I would attempt to go back to AA and go back to this thing that gave me that in the first place. So like the seed was planted pretty much. Like I knew it was possible.
And when you were involved in the sober house living and going through treatment and things like that, you realized that life is a whole lot better than the way I've been living.
Man, yeah.
You found real freedom besides.
Yeah, there was freedom from drug use, and then there was just, you know, just the small things that people overlook, you know, being able to sit outside, you know, it's almost like looking through a different lens, you know, like, they had like a lake down there, like a little, it wasn't a big lake, but it was kind of, you know, like McNeely Lake here, you know, it was just like a little small lake. You could rent canoes and go out there, and we'd go out there every Sunday. They had like a volleyball thing, and, man, just like the peace and serenity that you get, you know what I mean, from being sober, and being able to notice like little small things like that. You know, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like the anxiety's gone, the doom and gloom is not there anymore. It's just like you can sit back and be like, "Phew," you know, relief, real relief.
Yeah. See, people, you don't need drugs to make you happy. You don't need it to live life. You don't need it to have a good time. Just like Corey said, he said that he's telling you his story. It's a real story, and it matters. Just like your story matters. And I think a great thing that you're saying is that, you know, it felt like a breath of fresh air. At first, it felt spiritual when you first started using. You know, it's just like something came over you, took over you. But then when you realized the downfall that it caused, the evilness that it is, then it's like, you know what? I could get up out of this. You know, you had that change of mindset that you was tired of doing it. Say, man, let's go ahead and try this, man. And then once you see it, it's like, it's so much better over here. It's so much better being sober. So much better being sober.
For sure.
And not using, not drinking, not doing drugs, not whatever your vice might be. You know, it doesn't truly bring happiness. You
No,
know,
I don't.
at the end of the day, I feel like a person seeks happiness outside of the life that they're living. And it's like, you know what? The outward source, they aim for that instead of trying to get what's going on the inside fixed and getting that true happiness. You know, I believe true happiness comes from God first off, you know, God first, and then he teaches you who you are. And then once you find out who you are and you're happy in your own skin, you know, then it's like, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. You like me. I don't care about being accepted. I'm going to do what I feel like is right. And I don't want to do these drugs anymore because I know that me doing these drugs or me drinking this alcohol, whatever, brought out the worst of me. You know, after you got off of it, do you feel like you was thinking better? Did your money get better? Your job? How did that work?
So this time, this round of getting sober, right? It was tricky. Okay, so I went to treatment earlier in the year last year, and I went and I was backpedal. So about 3 years ago, I was still in active use, right? Something was going on with me. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just felt really bad. Had a lot of chest pain going on. So, you know, I'm out ripping and running, you know, doing DoorDash or whatever to make a quick buck to, you know, get the next one. And I didn't make it. I didn't make it to do what I was trying to do. I ended up having a massive heart attack while I was on the road.
How old was you?
29.
What?
Yeah, 29. I ended up having a massive heart attack. It was like 100% blockage at the Widowmaker. I really
had a Widowmaker.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on for real, other than, you know, when it was going on, I knew to call my significant other.
Hold on 1 second. If people don't know what a Widowmaker is, explain to them how serious the Widowmaker is.
So I think 85% of men who have a Widowmaker heart attack, it's usually their first and last one. So that's usually the one that puts the nail in the coffin.
Wow.
And I had no idea, right? So I had no idea that I had any kind of heart issues going on. No warning other than that day. You know, no symptoms up until then that I, you know, noticed. Nothing. And just all of a sudden one day I'm just like, man, you know, I feel like I've ran, you know that feeling when you run and you get that burning sensation in your lungs? That's how that felt all day long. So I'm like, maybe I'm getting sick. Maybe I got like bronchitis or, you know, something's going on, but it's not that important, right? I gotta get me something. So I ended up having that heart attack, which inevitably kept me in the hospital for about a week. Once I got out of that hospital, they put me on maintenance. So I ended up leaving that hospital on methadone. And I went to the clinic for, you know, about 6 months after that. It didn't help. You know, it wasn't enough to keep me from being sick, but it wasn't enough to make me not want to get high anymore, if that makes sense. I ended up 6 months after that, go to a treatment center again, to attempt to get sober. I'm like, look, I feel like crap. You know, I look like crap. I'm dying. You know, I feel like I'm dying. So my family, once again, like, you know, gets me to go to treatment. And I go there, and I'm so sick. I was coming off the fentanyl and the Xanax and alcohol again. And, you know, I'm sitting there like, dang, how did I get here again? Well, I was so sick that I couldn't hold down any food, water, anything like that. I think I puked for like 11 days straight.
Damn.
They sent me to the hospital to give me IV fluids because I couldn't even drink. I'd drink some water, take my medicine, blow back up. So bad. And they sent me to the hospital. Hospital gave me fluids, sent me back. Right? I wasn't there maybe a day. Completely fall out. Have like these seizures back to back to back to back. Knock all my front teeth out. Wake up in the hospital like 2 days later. And I'm like, well, I'm in the hospital. You know, what's going on? They're like, oh, man, you had a bunch of bad seizures. Like, we were getting ready to put you on a ventilator. Blah, 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 blah. Complications from benzo withdrawal. So my body just couldn't take how hard I was withdrawing. And it just set me down. Well, we're back. The hospital discharges me to go back to the treatment center. The treatment center's like, man, you're in really rough shape. You should probably go back to the hospital, have them monitor you, because like at this point, like it's a liability to have you here. It's just too dangerous to have you here. You know, you've already knocked your teeth out. You know, like you know, we're sorry, but like we can't let you back in here. And that was the first time a treatment center's ever told me I can't come back in.
Dang,
you know,
that's crazy.
I was like, I am gonna die now. I sit at home. I laid there for about 3 days. Of course, you know, I didn't feel better going home. You know, I was still in the thick of those withdrawals, so I ended up using again. And then I'd say it was October. That's my sobriety date. It's 10/24. It's my sobriety date this time.
Congratulations.
So the beginning of October, you know, my family was like, we're done. You know, you're going back. Like, you're going to kill yourself. It's not going to be here. You know, so they gave me that ultimatum again. And this time, you know, I was willing enough to go. I was like, you know what, I'll try it. You know, if I don't get that sick, then I'll stay the whole time. I told myself, it's like, if I don't feel like this, like I did this last time, I'll stay the whole time. Well, they this treatment center medicated me right. You know, took all the precautions. And it sucked, but it was pretty much seamless. You know, like there wasn't like this giant spike in feeling bad to where I felt better. You know, kind of mildly felt like crap the whole time until I got out.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel good the whole time, but I stayed. And then when I left there, you know, they was trying to get me to go to sober living, and I was just like, you know, I don't want to stay in E-Town. Like, I want to go back home. Like, I'll find something there. And then that's whenever I, you know, jumped into AA again. But since then, since working the 12 steps again, finding a sponsor, having a fellowship, you know, I feel like there's not really much that I can't conquer today. You know what I mean? I got a job that I thought was going to be the best job in the world for me, and I made really good money early in sobriety. I think I was like 2 or 3 months sober and got this job. Had a lot of responsibilities. I traveled. So to me, I was like, this is a dub right here, you know? Like, I get to travel, like, I'm people's boss, you know? Like, I'm making stuff happen, like, I'm making really good money. And it just didn't work out for me. You know, normally I would just, you know, self-implode and be like, well, this is it, you know? I can't win for losing, you know? And that didn't happen.
Everything just
fell right into place.
Just fall into place.
Fell right into place.
Good.
You know, I instantly, like same day when that job didn't work out, I instantly got a job with another friend. You know, and very successful company. He's a very successful businessman. You know, at the age he is, anyways. And I was like, this is it. You know, this is my ticket. This is it. I'm in there now. You know, you can't tell me nothing, man. Like, God's showing up.
God is good.
And that wasn't the right fit for me either, you know. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to school. Think I'm gonna go to Barber College. And I had other friends in the fellowship that was kind of pushing me that way, anyways. It was like, man, you're crazy if you ain't doing this. You don't got no kids right now. Like you got the perfect opportunity to go sit down somewhere for 10 months and go do this, because you can always go do the sales stuff. You already know that. Like, why don't you go to school, you know, and practice some humility and sit still for a little bit, and you know, find something that you like to do. You know, they were telling, you know, like, if you enjoy your job, you don't ever have to work.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like work. It's just like hanging out and getting paid for it.
Exactly.
It's like, and that's exactly what it feels like. But without me finding this group of people, right? These friends that are doing the same things, maybe different, but they all have the same goal, right? And everybody wants everybody to win. Nobody wants nothing from me. You know, they just only want to see me happy, see me do great things. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to look at that job not working out for me as a success. I would look at it as a failure. And I would instantly go back to and revert to, oh man, you know, I got to escape from this.
Yeah.
And the 12 steps, you know, I don't have to do that. Everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Amen. God definitely had a purpose for your life, being here this long, and especially being in the 15% people who survived the Widowmaker.
Yeah.
That's serious business right there. God definitely had a plan for you. He still got a plan for you today, right now. Being on this show, coming, telling your testimony, touching people's lives and hearing it. Beyond the show, helping other people. Like you said, the main thing that you did was surround yourself by good people. So even when you didn't have the job, or you're going through transitioning from this job to that job, God's putting things in places, but the perception of how you're looking at things, the way you're looking at your situation is different, because the people you were around before, they might have been down, and they might have gave you that positivity. You know what I'm saying? And when you went through these transitions this time, like you said, your friends, people who you surround yourself by is important.
That's right.
Number one thing, if you always got to remember this: who you surround yourself by, who you want to spend your free time with, who you could call. Make sure they want the best for you. Thank you for coming. Is there anything else you'd like to tell your people?
No, that's it.
That's it?
Pretty much, you know. Have a great day. And
appreciate you, brother. And I'd just like to thank Corey for coming and share this story. It's an important story. How it started off. It starts off as fun. Ends up being a problem. Ends up being a habit. Ends up taking over your life. You might be at that place right now in your life that you're going through this. You might be in a place right now that you're surrounded by friends who don't care about you. You might need to cut some people off. Move on. Do better. Do better like Corey doing better. Do better like I'm doing better. Like so many other people who hung around people who didn't care about them is doing better. Put the alcohol down. Put the drugs down. Change your life today. God first. You get sober, we're going to stay sober with you. Love you all. Have a blessed day.